1 second. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live, and the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon the Agent. I do apologize about that delay. Had some technical difficulties going on. So without wasting any time, let's begin. As always, you know I like to begin my show by talking about the latest real estate topics. So we're going to get right into it. Now, I want to welcome everyone who's joining me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Snapchat. Thank you all for joining me, and please follow me on all those platforms. Well, today's topic that I'm going to be talking about is property assessments. Property assessment. This is very key for a lot of people. And please, for those who are new to my show, please just listen to what I have to say about property assessments. All homeowners get property assessments from the local, states, county, or the district, in this particular area. And many people see the property assessment, and whatever's on the property assessment, people are taxed on what the county, state, or the district feels like your property has been assessed at. The property assessment does not mean that is the value of your home. Here's the reason why. The only person who will give you a true value of your home is actually an appraiser. And in many cases, no one comes into your home when they assess your property. If you notice, the property assessments go up every year. They're telling you hypothetically, your home may be worth, let's say, $500,000 this year. Next year, they say your house is worth $530,000. The year after that, they say your home is worth this amount. The reasoning for the property assessment is because it justifies the state, county, and district charging you taxes. Here's the thing. Back in 2008, when the housing market crashed, the property assessment still kept going up, even though the market went down. Why is that? Because it gives the state, counties, and the district justification to tax you. Now, for example, how can they say your house is worth anything if they've never been into your home? You could have done upgrades to your home. There could be people who actually destroyed your home. Let's say you had tenants in your home and they destroyed your home. How can they give you a true assessment of your home if they never went into your home? The reason why with the property assessment that they get away with is because many people do not challenge the state, county, and district on their assessments, because many people want to believe that their house is worth what the assessment actually say it is. This is very conflicting in many cases when the market says one thing and then the assessment says another, and people tend to believe what the assessments say. Here's the thing in the housing market. The market dictates everything. The real estate housing market dictates the price. It dictates everything. The assessments that you get on your home is just an assessment, but it gives the state, counties, and the district the right to charge you taxes based on their assessment of your home. This is the reason why a lot of times when you feel like, okay, my house is not worth, I don't know, 700,000. It's only worth really 575. Well, they really should be charging you taxes based on 575. But every year they do the assessment and they gradually go up on the assessment because everyone wants to feel like their house is gaining equity, which in many cases it does. It does gain equity, but at the same time, the equity that the assessment said is not necessarily the equity that is actually occurring with your house. So when people are actually looking at their tax assessment from the state, county, or district, please take into consideration that that is just the assessment. That is not necessarily the true value of your home. Now, I only say that because in some cases, yes, the assessment is actually wrong, where your house may be worth more than the actual assessment is. But in many cases, y'all, the assessment is higher than your house is actually worth. Trust me and believe. Like I mentioned before, going back to 2008, when the housing market crashed, it crashed. The assessment was actually going, and the assessment was actually charging people, and it kept going up. And people started to realize, well, how can they say that my house is worth X amount of dollars when the market is saying this? Listen, the market dictates the value of your home, what it sells for. An appraiser, and unless an actual appraiser comes into your home to give you the true value of your home, The assessment is really just an assessment. So I really want people to take that into consideration when they are paying their taxes to the state, county, or district. And also when they are want to sell their home. When you want to sell your home and everything, get a true evaluation of what your home is worth. The assessment, like I keep saying, it's just an assessment. But many people want to believe that, oh, the county or the state or the district says that my house is worth this because they've already charged you taxes and you've already paid them. So you want to believe that your house is really worth whatever that assessment is saying. And you can't blame anyone because they'd already charged you the taxes based off the assessment. But again, ask yourself, many people do upgrades. And like I said, in some cases, some houses actually are downgraded over time and they still give you an assessment without ever coming into your home. No one comes into it. They just send you something every year saying that your house is worth this, and no one questions that. People need to start questioning a lot of things because what you have to understand is everything out here is geared to get your money. You know, they want to pay you the least, but want to charge you the most, and they want to charge you for everything that we're charged for. So I just say that to say that when it pertains to properties assessments is really nothing but an educated guess by the state, county, and district on how much your house is actually worth to them to justify how much taxes they want to charge you. So that's why they'll say, "Oh yeah, that house is 500,000. Let's bump it up to 560. Let's charge them taxes on that." Next year they charge, "Oh, their house should be worth 610." After that, about 700. It gives them all the justification to charge you taxes. And people, aren't we taxed enough already? I'm going to talk about that in the end as far as taxes are concerned. So just wanted to share that. Coming back with my Q&A. Q&A, Q&A. Yes, 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 yes. So the Q&A. The Q&A means questions and answers. And if you have any questions that you would like to be answered when it pertains to real estate, please put it in the comments in the chat box. I get questions asked all the time. And the reason why I do these Q&As is because sometimes people ask the same question and I find myself repeating myself over and over again. It occurred to me one time in one day, 3 different people at 3 different places asked me the same question. And by the time I got to the second and third time, I was like, hold up, I keep repeating myself. So I do these Q&As in order to answer them. So just in case you have any real estate questions, that they can be answered for you. So your questions are never a dumb question. So feel free to ask any questions that you would like. So the first question is, what is it called when your house pays you? What is it called when your house pays you? That's a good question. The answer to that is that it's called a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage is when you are a homeowner of a home and you are at 62 years of age or older and you have at least enough equity, 80% equity, in which they will be able to, the mortgage company can start to pay you. So there are terms and conditions with doing a reverse mortgage. So just understand that if and when the homeowner passes away, there's only 1 or 2 obligations that has to be done. You have to it has to be given to the bank for them to sell it for a higher price to recuperate the money that they've actually paid the homeowner who passed away, or it actually has to be sold so they can still recuperate their money. So 9 times out of 10, when a person does a reverse mortgage, that home will not be left to any family members. So when a person is considering a reverse mortgage, they need to consider, are they going to leave this home to their family or not? If they don't plan on leaving the home to their family, then a reverse mortgage can be good for anyone who's 62 years of, of age or older. But if they plan on leaving the home to their family, a reverse mortgage is not the best option for them, because if and when the homeowner passes away, the property has to be surrendered. So that is the question for the Q&A. All right. And the other question was, how old do you have to be? In which I answered that question. You have to be 62 years or older for that. So Um, my topic on my finance today is an I.U.L, which means Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. An I.U.L is actually one of the best products when it pertains to life insurance. It is a living benefit and also a death benefit. Most people are so used to life insurance policies being death benefits that they don't understand that it can be something like an I.U.L out there for them. I.U.L is very critical and very good for people who unfortunately have unforeseen circumstances that may get chronically ill, that may develop Alzheimer's disease. If that is the case, the policy actually begins to pay the policy owner. So, for example, let's say if you get cancer, um, many people don't know this, but the I.U.L will actually pay you out. There's a story of a lady, a young lady, and on top of that, who got an I.U.L life insurance policy, and several months after getting the policy, she was diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately. And she was worried and concerned about paying all her bills. So she called around, let people know that she couldn't pay because what had occurred. And when she called her life insurance company, they let her know, oh, you have the I.U.L, so therefore we can, cut you a check. They actually cut her a check for $98,000, and it relieved a lot of stress for her. But what people don't understand is that an I.U.L is a living benefit along with a death benefit. If you do not have an I.U.L policy, I would strongly say to consider it, especially for you and your family and everything, because if anything happens, unfortunately, like when things happen, people need money. And that is a blanket of security to help you secure some funds if an unforeseen circumstances would occur, like a chronic illness, like Alzheimer's disease. So an I.U.L, an Index Universal Life Policy, is a great policy to have. If you need to learn more about it, please, please reach out to me. Check out my other website, which I just posted right there, which means yourwealthagentdamon.com, and schedule an appointment. You can schedule an appointment actually through a website. So click on that if you don't already have an I.U.L. And even if you do, and you want to have someone to look at to make sure that you're having the best policies for you, please also reach out so I can help you with that. So, all right. Uh, all right. Coming right back, y'all. Yes. So thank you again for joining me as always. So before I go into the next topic, please follow me on all social media platforms: TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, I mentioned that, and Facebook and Twitter. I'm on all platforms / Damon the Agent. You can find me. So my next topic of the day is going to be taxes, y'all. Taxes. Now, I started to get into it when we were talking about the, what did I talk about? Oh, the property assessment. I'm sorry. I got so much going on. I was talking about the property assessment. So I was talking about the taxes. But I also wanted to just talk about taxes in general, y'all. Do you realize, and I know many of you do, but I'm just going to say it. Do you realize we're taxed before you get paid, after you get paid, and then when you go pay for things, and then at the end of the year, you have to pay taxes again? Taxes seems to eat up more people's income than anything else, whether you realize it or not. And I think a lot of times we don't pay any attention to it because, let's say hypothetically you got a whole wad of cash wad of cash in front of you. So therefore you tend to say, okay, I ain't worrying about anything. But do you know taxes accumulates and makes up more? It pays for nearly everything. That's why property taxes, that's why income taxes, that's why individual taxes, that's why business taxes, that's why all these taxes are needed and are governed by law. And the reason they're governed by law is to make sure that all of us are paying taxes. Even with individual taxes, I owe taxes, unfortunately. I'm working on it. I owe taxes. I've been on taxes for a minute. Every year I owe taxes. So Taxes is really a burden, if you ask me. And I just wanted to talk about taxes because not only did I mention about property assessments and it's a justification on how states, counties, and the district charges taxes, property taxes to homeowner, but everything. Like when you get paid, for most people who work and they get paid a regular check, W-2 employee, they're taxed before they get their cash. And then after they get the cash, then they go to the store, you're taxed on everything. Aren't you all sick of taxes? I am sick of taxes. When are they going to implement a new law to actually do something about the taxes? To be honest with you, I feel like all laws should be updated every decade. Every 10 years, all laws should be updated because a lot of laws that are in place today, well, of course, created way before nearly all of us were born that are watching this. All these laws were created way back when. It's a different time. This is 2025. I'm pretty sure we couldn't envision 2025 when it was in the 1900s. Now we're here. In 75 years from now, it'll be 2100. So the only thing that I say is that all laws should be updated, but especially the tax laws. These taxes are ridiculous, y'all. We're paying taxes on everything. Everything that you see, you get taxed on. I don't care what you. I just ordered an Uber for one of my daughters. Taxes. I just was looking at something that I was paying for. Taxes. Everything is tax, 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 tax. Everything is tax. And I'm sick of taxes, y'all. I really am. I owe taxes. I have no choice but to pay. But Lord, please help us all with these taxes because these taxes are ridiculous, y'all. I'm just so sick of taxes, and y'all can tell that I'm sick of taxes because y'all can hear it in my voice. And I know many of you are sick of taxes too because you all are paying taxes just like I'm paying taxes, and we all get tired of paying these taxes. But what can we do about them, y'all? The best thing that we can do is, first of all, have a great or good tax preparer to help you offset the cost when it pertains to taxes. The second thing to do is to shop around for better things because when you shop around, of course, if you got to pay taxes on certain things, if you shop around, sometimes when you shop around and you get a better price, it will offset the taxes anyway. And the third thing to do is to be smarter with our money. And by that meaning, like, okay, to not spend freely like we always do. We have to be very mindful of what we spend. I think sometimes because people have money, they just spend, 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 and that's good and everything to a certain extent, but it's bad to a certain extent too, because again, taxes are everywhere. Have you all ever added up how much you paid in taxes the whole year? I'm talking about not the individual taxes. I'm talking about when you go out and you buy things, and no matter what you bought, whether you order on Amazon, whether you go to Target, whether you go to Walmart, whether you eat out. Have you all just added up all the taxes? One day I added up the taxes for everything that I was spending, and I was sick, y'all. I was like, I spent this much in taxes on all of these things. If you all haven't do it, I challenge you to do it. One day when you're out shopping, whether it's a Saturday, whether you go to the grocery store, whether you order off online, even when you look at the gas, get your receipt. Look at the taxes. I would promise you, when you see how much you're paying in taxes after you've been paid and you still have to pay taxes, some of you are going to be complaining just like me, or maybe even worse. These taxes are ridiculous, y'all. And like I said, we have to find better strategies, tax strategies, in order to offset the cost when it pertains to taxes. Now, I briefly mentioned about the I.U.L, but also there are products out there that can offset the taxes where you don't get charged until, what I'm saying, you don't get a pre-tax penalty. You get charged before tax or after taxes. Even something like child support, it's based off the gross income, but then it's taken out of people's check after the net, and taxes are not considered with that. Whether people realize it or not. But the non-custodial has to pay taxes on all of it. So I just say this to say that when you start looking at how much you're paying in taxes alone, just in taxes alone, and I'm not talking about the taxes that you file, I'm talking about when everything that you are spending cash on or going out, taxes are chewing us up, y'all. Taxes is making more money than any. anything. But guess what? In many cases, the taxes is who? The government, because they're going to come back and hit you with taxes because you got to pay those taxes, business taxes, individual taxes. So I just say that to say, I'm sick of taxes, y'all. I'm sick of taxes. So, help me, help us all, because I know I'm not the only one that's sick of taxes. So I say that to say, y'all, make sure y'all file y'all taxes because tax time is due in like 2 weeks. And I'm working on myself. I hope you're working on you. File those taxes, but also count the taxes of everything that you're paying for, because once you do, you're going to start to realize these taxes are getting, no, these taxes are pimping us, y'all, whether y'all realize or not. These taxes are gangster. You understand? They robbing everybody blind. If you don't believe me, count the taxes you pay on everything when you go out. Just the taxes alone. I don't care what your bill is. You go out to eat, you go shopping, you pay for anything. Just count the taxes alone on all these bills and stuff. And how much, and look how much you done paid in taxes alone. And that ain't got nothing to do with the taxes that you file. So, like I said, I'm sick of taxes. Now I'm going to come back with a recap. I need a breath, my deep breath. All right, y'all. Let me do my recap. But before I do, please follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, and Snapchat. Okay. So my recap is property taxes. I'm sorry, y'all. Property assessments. Listen. The property assessment is not the true value of the home. It's just a justification for the city, state, and district to charge you taxes. A property assessment can't be truly assessed unless someone comes in. That's what appraisals are for. So even though many homeowners like to believe that their house is worth what the property assessment is, it is only the justification for them to charge you taxes. What your house is worth is really dictated by the market. And unless an appraisal comes in there, you can never really have the true value. You can have close to the true value, but not the true value. But at the same time, the property assessments many times are not what your house is worth. In some cases, it's worth more. Other cases, worth less. And I just talked about taxes, y'all. Look, I'm sick of taxes. Pray for me and my taxes because I owe taxes. I really owe taxes. So please pray for me. Thank you all for joining me. I shall see you all next week, same time, 12 o'clock, each and every Friday. Thank you for joining me, and follow me on both of my websites, DamonTheAgent.com and YourWealthAgentDamon.com. Pray that you all have a great weekend, and I shall see you all soon.